Supervisor Clayton.
I'm here.
Councilmember Carini.
Yeah.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
I'm here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Here.
Councilwoman Miller.
Here.
Councilman Muscarella.
Yeah. Okay, I now ask that Councilwoman Missy Miller lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand over your heart.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Supervisor, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
It's my recommendation that the first order of business be that the board formalize or formally vote to adjourn public hearing number 5 until further notice, which Madam Clerk rightfully noted on the calendar and which was published last week, is being adjourned.
Supervisor, I move to adjourn until further notice, public hearing number 5.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay. Let's start with public hearing number 1. Would you please call the first public hearing?
Yes, we have a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Garden City South, Roosevelt, and Woodmere.
Is any member of the board wish to be heard? Okay, I do not have any slips on this. Is anybody who is here, the public that did not sign in to be heard on item number 1, want to be heard? If not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed for local law regarding parking of standing prohibitions in East Meadow, Elmont, Belmore, Roosevelt, and Uniondale.
Any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips. Any member of the public who wishes to be heard on item number 2 that did not sign in? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and adopt the item.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Baldwin and Wantagh.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips. Any member of the public that is here today that did not sign in wish to be heard on item number 3? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Elmont.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, any member of the public that did not sign in that wishes to be heard on this? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the item be closed and the board accept the item.
Well done, Tom. I have a second on that? Okay, Councilwoman Beck.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Clerk, please call the next item.
Item number 6 is the application of Conklin Estates LLC to rezone from the property from Residence B to Residence CA District in Woodmere.
Okay, first up, this is Chris Brown.
Good morning. Morning, Supervisor, members of the board, Christian Brown, McLaughlin and Stern, 1122 Franklin Avenue, Garden City, for the applicant. My client, Mr. Friedman, is putting a few boards up in front of you on those easels so you can see the site plan and the renderings on the project that we're here to present on today. The board, some members of the board may remember this project goes back quite a long way. What we're really here today for is to ask you to reinstate the previously granted CA zoning for this subject property and to approve in so doing this new site plan for the development of this site that's known as Section 41, Block 23, lots 144, 150, 340, 341, and 349. It's on Conklin Street in Woodmere. As I mentioned, this site was formerly a nursery that has been out of business for close to 15 years now. The board approved CA zoning for this site back in 2010 under Town Board Resolution 7 of 2010. That was under the, I guess, the first applicant for rezoning back then 12 years ago. For various reasons, the project stalled, was never built, and then Conklin Estates, the present applicant, acquired the property in around 2015. And at that time, we made application to reinstate the zoning because the zoning under the building zone ordinance had lapsed, the CA zone had lapsed at that time for lack of action. And this board again reinstated the zoning back in 2015. That was under Town Board Resolution 883 of 2015. Now at that time, the plan for the subject property called for the construction of 2 separate buildings that would total 9 dwelling units. They were to be condominium-style units. That project required a number of variances, including parking variances and some setback variances. The applicant, at that time, after this board reinstated the zoning, proceeded to the zoning board. Those variances were approved. The property then, the project then had to go through review at the Nassau County Planning Commission because it was a condominium project, and so a subdivision had to be approved by the Planning Commission. That was also completed. So this took a period of at least a year, if not more, to complete. After those final approvals were obtained, in the process of doing the final design for the project, the applicant determined that the property taxes that would be assessed on the proposed 9 units were quite substantial, to the point that the applicant was concerned that the units would not be saleable. And therefore, the applicant decided again to attempt to amend the project and come up with a different plan, a rental plan that would avoid the the impact of the property taxes that were estimated to be north of $30,000 per unit. And so at that time, a new project design phase, the applicant entered into a new project design phase. Originally, the idea was to create 24 units. That plan was forwarded to the Nassau County Planning Commission after it was reviewed by the town agencies, and the Nassau County Planning Commission at that time recommended reducing the density of the project down to 16 units, which the applicant agreed to do. Also around that time, this is going back about 2 years now, the applicant was able to acquire an additional piece of property, 1 lot to the west, going towards Broadway. That's lot 349. And so the parcel that is before you today is actually about 6,000 square feet larger than the original parcel on which the board had approved the 2 dwelling units, the 2 dwelling buildings with 9 units in it. So all of those pieces kind of came together, the Planning Commission's review and recommendation, and the ability to acquire the additional 6,000 square feet to have now a total of 35,863 square feet. And that enabled the applicant to design the site plan that is now before you. So what we are requesting, again, is the reinstatement of the CA zone and your approval therewith to create 1 building with 16 rental apartments, all of which would be 2-bedroom units. One of the nice things about this application, unlike most others that this board hears in the CA zone, is it requires 0 variances. This application meets all of the required setbacks. It exceeds the parking requirement. There would be 44 parking spaces provided here, where 38 are required. As you can see from the landscaping plan that's up on the board, there is substantial setbacks in the rear and on the sides. There will be a substantial green buffer, both on the east and the west side of the building and in the rear. It varies to, the property is a little bit irregularly shaped, so the exact dimensions to the property lines vary, but in most places in the rear and on the west side, you're talking about 25 to 30 feet, if not more, of landscaped open area. Part of the parking would be underneath the building, and part of the parking would be on grade, but the height of the building would be well within what's allowed. It would only be about 31 feet, where 35 feet is allowed. And again, there are no variances required here. The 16 rental units, as I mentioned, would all be 2-bedroom units. They would be market rents, renting for roughly $3,000 a month, maybe a little bit more, depending on the exact demand. The area surrounding the site is mixed in terms of its zoning, directly across the street. As you can see, there's a large condominium complex, which is in the CA zone. Then there are some single-family homes along Conklin Street, but you quickly come to a town parking lot to the west, and then Broadway, which, as you know, is the downtown part of Woodmere. So it's walkable into the downtown, it's walkable to the train station. It would replace what has really become an eyesore. It's just an open field with a dilapidated structure or two on it. And that's been the case since probably before 2010, when the first rezoning was approved by this board. So if you see fit to reinstate the rezoning today on the site plan that is before you, we would be able to move immediately to the building permit phase and hopefully break ground and begin construction, clean up this lot, and improve it with this zoning compliant 16-unit building, and finally fulfill the dream that began way back in 2010 to redevelop this site with a reasonable, rather small-scale multifamily development that would clean up the site and allow people to walk right into downtown Woodmere and the train station. So we think it's a good thing for the community, and we hope that the board will, hopefully for the third and final time, reinstate the CA zoning and allow us to move forward with the project.
Okay, Mr. Brown, anybody else that you want to have speak on this, or?
I think we have, we may have one gentleman from the neighborhood who wants to.
Yeah, no, I meant on your side, before I call the neighbors. Anybody else want to?
I don't believe so, unless the board has any specific questions.
Okay. Any of the board have any questions at this moment? No? Okay, that's great. I do see we have one or two people who want to speak, so let's hear from them, see if there are any questions come up.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Guy Friedman?
Mr.
Friedman with you?
Mr. Friedman's the applicant.
Applicant? Okay, that's fine. I do not have any other slips on this item. Is there anybody in the public that did not sign in that wishes to be heard on this item then? Okay, then I guess I'll ask the board if you have any questions or motion.
Supervisor, I move that the hearing be closed and the zoning be reinstated.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye?
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Padrón?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Moscarelli?
Aye.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown.
I just want to thank the board for your courtesy, and we look forward to commencing work. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the administrative calendar.
We have items 7 through 46 on the administrative calendar.
Okay, first, does any member of the board wish to accept any item on the administrative calendar? Okay, I have a couple of slips on the administrative calendar. First, we'll start with Bonnie Green. Bonnie Green? It says green on the slip. Maybe it's Rockville Center? Okay. It says green on the slip here. It says nothing to do. Good morning, Ms. Groen. If you could give your name back there. Thank you.
Bonnie Brown, Rockville Center.
I'll move it. Okay.
As to item 31,
Can you tell us the recipient or recipients who are returning those funds?
It's Town Controller John Massimino.
Yes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Long Island Harvest is returning $1,026.95. Northwell, $35,124.43. Mount Sinai, 2. First one is $24,734.17. Second one is $5,214.76. United Way, $311.26, and Friendship Hose, $9.91.
Thank you. And those funds are being transferred to the general fund town attorney? That's item 32?
It is being utilized to offset legal expenses that were specifically allocated to the CARES funding and was not drawn down from any of the funds. So it was expenses that we were absorbing in our regular budget, so we are offsetting those expenses.
So that amount must be spent on qualified COVID expenses, yes?
It was. The expenses were qualified COVID expenses that the town absorbed, not through the CARES funding, but through its regular budgetary funding. So we are now utilizing this money that came back to offset that.
Can you tell us how much has been transferred in that manner to the town attorney's office?
No, this is on resolution number 31, so if it's a question related to item 31, please. If not, we're not going to speculate or have a guess on numbers.
You know the numbers?
No, Mr. Owen, I just said to you, you're not going to speculate or guess. If you make a forward question, always can, you know that.
But maybe he's not going to speculate or guess, maybe he knows.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Come on, I understand how difficult it is for this administration to release any information that they don't have to.
But?
Yes?
No?
Items 23 and 24. Can someone explain how these programs work? And I understand that these funds are being used for 2020 expenses, and I read the original resolution from December that explains why the fiscal year changed and why we're talking about 2020. But can somebody explain how it works and how organizations apply for these funds?
John Rockcamp?
Good morning,
Commissioner Rockcamp, I'm sorry.
So this money is funded through New York State from the Offices of Children and Family Services. So the town receives $55,000 from that, and it's broken up by these organizations that request money from us. And this is for expenses that they've already paid out that we're reimbursing them from 2020 because the state is a year behind as far as the funding.
So have we also made application and are there funds for 2021 as well?
Is this a question regarding item number 23? Because that's what it's on.
Okay, we have another secret.
There are actually no secrets. It's not free for all time. So we're just saying, you asked on these two items, and he gave a really solid response to you. The fact that the state was delaying the payments. That's all.
Yes, that's all. So how do these organizations know to apply? And I'll direct it specifically to the organizations in 23 and 24. How do they know to apply and when did they apply?
Commissioner?
These organizations that have been doing this have been funded for years, and as far as if any other new organizations want to apply, they would send us a letter and request that, and then we would have to get more money for that if possible. But again, it's on our website as far as that companies can, if they're interested.
Where on the website would we find that?
I believe it's under Planning and Economic Development.
And when did these two organizations apply for these funds?
They requested this money back in 19 and was approved in 19, and they spent it in 20, and now they're being reimbursed for it. 21, and then they're being reimbursed for it.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay. Next I have Felix Procacci. Morning, Mr. Procacci. Give me your name and address for the record.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. On the money that's being transferred for legal services, what type of legal services were performed that are COVID-19 related? And I ask this for two reasons. One, I want to know, and the last time this came up is you said I could foil the documents, and I still haven't received those documents from the last time you transferred money to the COVID-19 legal fund.
Okay, well, I can't speak to your full request or missed request, but I can ask John to explain on these. Spencer?
The attorneys that we're talking about were specifically engaged to review the appropriateness and the legalities and the details of every single grant or utilization of the CARES money. This was a targeted employment to just review the CARES funding. And that's what the expenses were when we paid them. We paid them out of operating expenses. And we did not utilize CARES money for it.
And John, this is the law firm who retained one in Washington,
That's
D.C.
correct, yes.
That work with the federal government. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
From my recollection, that was the same answer you gave me, I guess, a couple of months ago when a very similar resolution came up, and I never received those documents.
I can't speak to a request you made in full. Perhaps after you want to follow up with a request to the town attorney or the clerk.
The thing is, we talk about not releasing documents in a timely manner in accordance with law. I have a FOIL appeal outstanding that's due tomorrow on that FOIL request. So it's just a matter of like...
Well, it's due tomorrow.
No, the appeal is due tomorrow.
Okay.
The FOIL request is overdue.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, it's overdue. You passed the 20 days. That's not my opinion. That's overdue. But now the appeal will be due tomorrow. But the thing is, anyway, on another item, on number 11, you're retaining an attorney firm, a legal firm. This doesn't always get done. Why do you have a resolution to retain? Is it required that you pass a resolution to retain an attorney? Because many times cases come to town, get sued a lot, but you don't have a resolution that says you're hiring an attorney. So what's the difference between why does this one need a resolution, some of them don't need resolutions?
Mr. Procacci, the attorneys, the outside law firms that are utilized by us are all approved by the town board after a thorough analysis through an RFQ process, requests for qualifications. Sometimes firms specifically qualify for a certain type of business, for example, bond counsel, some for negligence cases. In this particular instance, this firm was not on our RFQ panel, but attorneys from a firm that had been on our RFQ panel and had been handling a case left that firm and went to this new firm. Since they had been working on the case as counsel at that old firm, we wanted them to continue working on the case as they went to the new firm and take the case with them so that there wouldn't be a repetition or a recreation of the wheel by the old firm. So since the new firm was not on our RFQ, we have a specific resolution authorizing them to be retained.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, I do not have any of the slips on anybody who wishes to be heard on the administrative calendar. Is anybody who is here today that did not sign wishes to be heard on the administrative calendar? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the administrative calendar is entirely accepted of the so all of them.
Second.
Okay, this is the motion for items 7 through 46.
Yep.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito?
Aye.
Councilman Gunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Moscarella.
Aye.
Okay, please seats, have a motion to adjourn. Second. Yeah,
I can't hear you.
Will we do the roll call?
we're gonna do the roll call.
And I believe we have a second.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye?
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Moscarella.
Aye. Okay, that's the formal town board meeting, now it's been adjourned. Before we begin the process where we listen to residents' comments, I know Councilwoman Gooseby wanted to add something.
I want to add this because some people, we work so very hard trying to make sure that Uniondale is whole. And some people are not aware of the fact that we did pass the resolution on April 14, 2015. And the resolution requested the U.S. Census Bureau to change the census tract delineating as East Garden City to Uniondale. That's what we did. And everybody voted for it. So I just wanted to bring that up. And we're in the process now. We still have not received from the Census Bureau the new system that they should have done. It was supposed to come in on 2017, but we have not received it as of yet. So hopefully we will. We've been trying to get something from them, but we have not received it. So all the council members are in favor of this, and this is what we have done to make sure that we do what we're supposed to do. And that's all we can do at this time.
Thank you, Senior Councilwoman. Okay, now we'll listen to comments of the public, and we'll start with, and it came in wrong again, but I know it's Bonnie Garone. Morning, name and address, please, thank you.
Bonnie Garone, Rumco Center. I noticed there have been changes to the website, and I assume if you were answering questions, you would say that that's been done to make it more user-friendly. I personally find it much more difficult to find things and find that, day by day, some things appear to have been removed. In looking for compliance reports, there used to be a list of all of them with the date and the topic of what was reviewed by the compliance officer. Unless I'm a worse researcher than I thought, I couldn't find it, so it appears to have been removed. There is no longer, as far as I can tell, a list of compliance reports. And I find that ironic because it used to be under government transparency. So, again, this is an example of the fact that under this administration, transparency has never been great, but it seems to be getting worse and worse. So if I were permitted to ask a question, I would ask, why has that been removed from the website? Second, as to the animal shelter, we've talked a lot, and I'll just repeat again that the leadership and the philosophy needs to change. But as this obviously is a long process, there are specific things that can be done and should be done right away so that there is some increased accountability. And this is something that the supervisor can do, and the supervisor, in my opinion, can and should direct that they appoint, that there be someone placed in charge of increased fostering and report back on the, how that is accomplished. Someone should be in charge of working with rescues and repairing those relationships so that they can be used more frequently, and that individuals should be reporting back about their progress. Someone should be in charge of exercise and enrichment for the dogs. We've all seen the postings recently, beautiful, beautiful days, and there's not a single animal outside getting exercise. And someone should be in charge of making sure that there is some socialization for cats to increase adoptability. And they can stop sending indoor cats that have never lived outside on their own in their life to a facility in Maryland that is designed only for outdoor cats, and is certainly a death sentence for the indoor cats that are sent there. These are actions that the supervisor can and should take if he cares at all about improving the animal shelter, and I hope that you'll take some of these suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Garone. And just so you know, the stuff is on the webpage. I was actually able to pull up the semi-annual report just when you were talking.
Not
So, okay, next I have Felix Procacci.
You say things that are less.
No, Ms. Groh. You said you could do it. I found it on the website. I just want to let you know. And I appreciate the feedback on the website. Felix Procacci.
Those are the.
Thank you very much. It's always nice. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You say something
It's Miss Groen. We took your criticism of the website. I sent it to somebody, and we did it right away. Please, it's respectful time. We're going to let the next resident speak. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Found it on the website. Yes, Mr. Procacci. Good morning.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. The town is offering a drug awareness program over the next few weeks, but is only making this program available in person on 5 specific days. If the town board really feels this is important, information is important for residents, they should video record it and put it on the town's YouTube channel. For years, the town has been providing Narcan training, but I cannot find one video showing this training. A search of the word Narcan on YouTube.com brings up numerous professional videos, as do searches for cannabis use disorder, marijuana and mental illness, driving and marijuana's effect on your memory. Getting information on drug and alcohol use is easy. Treating someone who has a drug or alcoholic addiction is not. It's very difficult and very expensive. The town's press release states that COVID-19 exacerbated the opioid crisis, yet the town put more than half of its Federal CARES Act funds, $68 million, in its reserves, providing little funding to drug counseling agencies. In 2015, the town gave $100,000 to 2 agencies that treated people with opioid addiction. I know this because it was printed in a town mailing. But that year, then Supervisor Kate Murray was running for district attorney, so she needed to emphasize her concern for opioid addiction, and by donating taxpayer money, and then she needed to make sure everyone knew what she did by wasting taxpayer money on a town mailing. If this town board really cares about opioid addiction, they would provide a significant portion of its federal CARES funds to fight opioid addiction and not send out mailings bragging about it. The town used about $12 million of federal CARES funds to upgrade its air conditioning systems. How about spending $12 million of federal CARES funds to help people overcome drug and alcoholic addiction? On another note, it is clear the town has been unable or unwilling to put forth a tree preservation law. To my knowledge, no public meetings have been held to get feedback from residents. If this board wants to get this done, the way to start is to talk to residents. Just like the town schedules passport days, the town can schedule public meetings to get input to see what residents think about having a tree preservation law. But in the meantime, the town can still preserve trees and taxpayer funds by not printing and sending out useless mailings. In other words, follow the advice of the 2019 supervisor candidate, Don Clavin, who opposed all mailings except those that came from the receiver of taxes office. Also, I'd like to know the status of my ethics complaint.
Mr. Procacci, I'm tempted to ask which of your ethics complaints.
We have one outstanding.
Joe, if you want, Mr. Procacci will spend a little time in the back, and you can ask him which one. He'll enjoy spending time with you. I do want to say thank you, Mr. Procacci, for your comments, and I do want to thank Councilman Diaz-Pizito. There was acknowledgement of the 10,000 kits you've given out in person in Narcan and saved lives. And you know what? Mr. Procacci had a great idea. Maybe we could do an online. But as many people have said, and actually come down here, not everybody goes online, not everybody looks at a computer, but I want to say thank you, Councilman Diaz-Pizito, 10,000 plus potential lives being saved, so thank you very much for your involvement.
Thank you, Supervisor. And the parents and grandparents that we've spoken to at these events who have thanked us for the classes because they had the ability to save their children and grandchildren. I guess they have a different mindset than Mr. Procacci, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
I didn't criticize your program at all.
Next, I'm going to bring up Diane Madden. Good morning, Ms. Madden. If you can name and address for the record, thanks.
Good morning, Diane Madden, Hempstead. There was a post that went out not long ago by the Rescue Advocates of Long Island that go to municipal shelters to distribute blankets, and The pictures of these dogs were very troubling. I had gotten a lot of messages. I don't know if the board received any, but not only do they look like the saddest dogs, but something looked very different, and it prompted me to FOIL any medications, drugs, sedatives, and not to my surprise, but to my disappointment, yes, some of these dogs are being drugged. And when I think about why Mr. Pastore, Mr. Marino, and some of their helpers there did one of these kennels permanently shut down, this is just one of the reasons. So I'm wondering, are these sedatives the replacement of having the public in, using the exercise pens, putting animals in foster? I think you have 60 dogs and one of them is in a foster situation that happens to be a volunteer. I thought this shelter hit rock bottom. You should be looking at every single dog. I have a bunch of sedative medications here that came in on a foil. I have foiled more. Only to the good work of outside advocates, by the way, did this get uncovered, which is why Mr. Pastore got rid of every expert in there, because they don't stay quiet on animal mistreatment and gross mismanagement. Michael Vick's dogs, 47 of them that were trained to kill other dogs, were all saved. You don't have dogs that are unadoptable in Hempstead Shelter. You have management that makes them unadoptable, which is why they had to ship them out of state, or they send them to homes out of state, because they are evidence. I'd like to know who is requesting that these dogs are sedated and drugged. Could someone answer? Is that the commissioner, the director, assistant director, trainer, kennel staff, kennel supervisors? They're all in on it, as far as I'm concerned. The place needs a clean sweep. And the first thing that should be done, it should be taken out of general services. You can't fix something with the people who broke it. It needs to come out of general services. As far as on-site adoptions, the AC&C, the bloodiest shelter in the tri-state area, went back to on-site adoptions in March. Town of Hempstead, the $5.5 million shelter, you can't adopt on-site. It says right on the website to make an appointment. They don't want people in there, and these dogs are why.
Thank you, Ms. Madden. I'll follow up on the two things, but I do want to reassure you that I have sent down on numerous occasions people to going off the street, and even though they didn't have an appointment, they were never turned away. We did that to check the status of it, because we were told that if somebody did not have an appointment, they could come in, and I did verify that on 3 separate occasions with three individuals that were not known down there, but I will follow up on the other issue.
Thank you, Supervisor. I ask you to take it off the website. Take it off the website and open the adoptions.
Thank you, Ms. May.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Jack Lehman. Or Jay? Jay?
Jay.
Jay? Yeah, Jay. How you doing? If you go to the back there, you can just give your name and address to start.
Good morning, Board. My name is Jay Blackman from East Meadow. This is the third time I've come to talk about the possible solar project on the Oceanside landfill. I think you remember that. There are 3 new factors. That's why I'm here today. Hopefully the third time I'm here will be the charm. 3 new factors that have come up recently, one of which was the Zoning Board of Appeals rejecting a company by the name of Bloom Energy from putting a gas power plant on the corner, believe it or not, of East Meadow of Merrick Avenue and Hempstead Turnpike. A gas power plant, meaning that PSEGLI needs electricity. And it was rejected because there were a lot of people like me who were here to say that pumping gas into the atmosphere, carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, methane gas into the atmosphere was not the idea. We can't live like that. We are approaching a point of no return in terms of greenhouse gases. Secondly, there was a letter that I got yesterday, and I'm sure everybody else got the same letter from PSE GLI saying, watch out, our rates are going up. And why are they going up? They're going up because PSE GLI does not have their own power plants. They use other companies' power plants, and the price of oil is going up because of what's going on around the world. The price of everything is going up. As far as I know, the price of the sun giving out its rays has not gone up. And third thing, last thing that came up was something I heard on the news just yesterday, that scientists are predicting that within the next 5 years we will hit that magic number of 1.5 degrees. That is the threshold number of degrees. If you take the average of the global temperatures throughout the years, from the start of the Industrial Revolution, that average has gone up and up until it will finally hit 1.5 degrees in the next 5 years, which is catastrophic. That would make the storms like Sandy look like sun showers compared to what will be in the next 5 years. And, you know, we need solar. And, you know, I would hope you all believe in climate change. And if that's the idea, I would pray that you would have on your agenda one of these days.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Blackman, and I'm sure you're very excited about the project we actually are doing down at Point Lookout with hydrogen, which is actually going to be a great mix, and the fact that the technology and we teamed up with Toyota USA it really shows the commitment that this board has to the environment and safeguarding both the environment for ourselves and for our future residents, but we appreciate you always coming in. Next I have Stu Kroll. Morning, Mr. Kroll. Welcome to 10 Hempstead. Name and address, please.
Pleasure to be here. Stu Kroll, Great Neck. I think it's an appropriate time to evaluate the state of the town animal shelter. It is true that we have an excellent TNR program currently operating at or near full capacity. It is currently the beginning of a terribly busy and overwhelming kitten season. One would expect the shelter to be overrun with cats and kittens. I would hope that these animals would be running loose in various rooms throughout the shelter, including the cattery. While admittedly I have not been there in quite some time, I have been told by different individuals that overcrowding is not an issue with the town shelter. Sadly, this is not due to terrific socialization programs and robust adoption rates. On the contrary, animals including kittens, fewer animals including kittens are adopted. Many of them are caged for no reason whatsoever. Ringworm outbreaks at the shelter, while they are serious and occur at all adoption facilities, tend to last much longer at the town shelter for some specific reason. Having visited an adoption facility yesterday, All About Cats in Freeport, they are utilizing all available fosters, and their facility is still packed with cats, mainly kittens. They have many volunteers, and if you check their website, you will see that they do various adoptions, quite actually a number of them actually, almost every day. Whether dogs or cats, animals need to be properly socialized by qualified volunteers, for these animals to reach their potential and be adoptable. They need to be running loose, not caged, unless there is a sound medical reason for doing so. Having fewer animals at the shelter no doubt makes Pastore and Fonte's job much easier. Animals not properly exercised and receiving socialization are more likely to become withdrawn and aggressive, prompting fears of euthanization. Yes, their job becomes even easier when cats are then sent off to a feral cat sanctuary that are potentially adoptable cats. Why is it that in beautiful weather, outside dog runs are empty? Are they being saved for some higher purpose? Many dog breeds that are caged with no periods of exercise will react very poorly, understandably in my humble opinion. Yes, it has been established that shelter leadership is extremely lacking. On the one hand, we have a behaviorist Fonte who claimed to have necessary credentials that in fact that she did not possess at the time. In the private sector, this would be cause for immediate dismissal. We have a shelter director, Pastore, who approved a shelter with 10 of our dogs in Utica that would in fact turn out to be a situation of horrific abuse. I would still like to know who supported, and anybody can jump in if they like, who supported Fonte for the job when the other candidate, Sorrentino, was infinitely more qualified. Unfortunately, the party elite did not push her candidacy. The real blame rests solely on your shoulders, Mr. Clavin. You have the ultimate say. You are well aware of the suffering of these animals, and you choose to look the other way. They are simply bureaucrats who follow board directives. They can't be fired, but perhaps transferred to the highway department to join Mr. Uri, who was arrested for numerous acts torturing animals but still works for the town. Mr. Clavin, your position is secure. Your rivals are more like the Keystone Cops. I would implore you to make the necessary personnel changes out of common decency and compassion for the animals. As of yet, qualities that are sorely lacking.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Always nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Next I have Carl Jacobs. Oh, by the way, just so I know, what was the name of that website you talked about, the kitten one? Sorry to write that down. In Freeport?
That's all that matters.
Okay, thanks. Morning, if you name and address. How you doing?
Good morning, Pearl Jacobs, Uniondale. Senior Councilwoman Goolsbee, thank you for acknowledging the East Garden City resolution. However, this resolution does not appear to have any teeth. Uniondale's identity is being stolen as a result of backdoor politics. That's my statement.
I have a copy of it.
Yes, you have a comment. Please stop the clock. I would like the clock to stop.
Ms. Jacobs, you have your 3 minutes to make your statement as
I'm
usual.
not talking. And the Councilwoman Goolsbee said she wanted to make a comment.
No, she didn't. She did not say that. So please don't put words in the senior councilwoman's.
I have another 30 seconds. So elected representatives make speeches on Earth Day, talking up their dedication to preserving the planet. I find this rhetoric nothing more than hypocrisy when these same elected representatives stand by and allow our environment to be trashed and littered with zero consequences. Rhetoric without action is hypocrisy. I have a question for the town attorney. Concerning my proposed ordinance, the Uniondale Clean Streets Initiative, is there any legal reason why this cannot be done? This is for the town attorney, this question.
Ms. Jacobs, it's statement time, and you can follow up with an email to the town attorney or your senior counsel.
Why can't the town attorney answer me? He's right there. Why can't he answer?
Ms. Jacobs, you've been coming to me
My
for 10
time
years.
is running and you're asking me questions. I would like to know why can't the town attorney answer this question?
Make the
He's
rule.
here.
Make a rule that you can't do that. You don't want to make the rule, but then you want to just enforce something.
We listened to your comments as you've been doing it for 20 years.
So therefore, you're a hypocrite. Okay?
That's right.
Because you know,
correct.
you talk about Earth Day, you're sending out your mailers, and we can't even get an ordinance to keep our streets clean in Uniondale. But that's okay, because it doesn't matter in Council Matters District 1, a majority minority community, clean streets don't matter. Thank you. At the last town meeting, this council stated that fireworks are illegal in the town of Hempstead. We agreed collectively that sending out informational mailers informing residents that fireworks are illegal. When will these mailers be sent out? When will these mailers be sent out? You said last 2 weeks ago that you were going to start sending out these mailers, informing the residents that illegal fireworks are illegal.
We said I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, but when are you going to send them? You said you're going to send the mailers out.
When it comes in the doorstep, I'm sure Mr. Picasso will come in and yell at us for it.
Well, you know what, you took an oath.
That's right.
You took an oath to protect the residents of town of Hempstead. And we need those mailers. This is on public record. I hope nobody gets hurt with illegal fireworks, because you will get sued.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jacobs. And just as a follow-up to you, I know that I pulled out a press release from 2015, where Senior Councilwoman Goolsbee, then Supervisor Murray, and you were in a photo with Congresswoman Kathleen Rice, where she was saying, I am proud to announce that the Census Bureau has agreed to repeal the East Garden City designation, making Uniondale whole again. And I would say, you know what, I guess since we don't control that designation, we should really call up our Congresswoman and ask her to go at her efforts again, because like I said, she sent out a press release, and it's a really great photo of all of you. But it was, I think that's, no problem. I think it's a real issue that, and everybody knows that's a Census Bureau issue, which is federal. But thank you so much for bringing it back. And I promise you, I will let you know about those mailers right when they're going out. I do not have any other slips from anybody else that did not sign in. Is there anybody here at the town board meeting that did not sign that and wishes to be heard? And I would say, before we leave, happy birthday, Councilman Dennis Dunn. Where are you? Happy birthday to you, all right? Nobody makes 85 look so good. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day.